principal sheep. Welcome back to our classroom. Today we will be learning about diffusion and osmosis. First, I'll teach you about diffusion. It is very important for living organisms, so please remember this. Diffusion is a net movement of particles. Net movement means random movement from an area with a high concentration to an area with a low concentration. It's a passive process, so that means that it doesn't require energy at all. This only happens to gases and liquids since they are the only two states of matter that are always moving quickly and randomly. And so because of this, the particles actually move both ways instead of only from a high concentration to a low concentration. The bigger the difference in concentration is, the faster the diffusion rate is. I will now show you a diagram to grow your understanding on diffusion. The purple balls are perfume particles. The gray balls are air particles. The perfume is getting diffused into the air. In the diagram on the left, it shows the perfume particles still huddled together away from the air particles, but on the right, it shows the perfume particles that got diffused into the air particles all mixed together. Cell membranes are actually related to diffusion, and I'll teach you why. Cell membranes are interesting because they hold the cell together, but they also let things in and out, and it's called being partially permeable. Molecules can travel in and out of cell via diffusion, osmosis, and active transport. All things we will cover other than active transport. Only small, tiny molecules are able to diffuse through cell membranes. For example, glucose or amino acids. Big molecules like protein and starch won't fit. This is because there are tiny holes in the cell membrane that only tiny things like glucose and amino acids can fit through. I'll give you a few questions to test your understanding on diffusion. Does diffusion require energy? It is worth 2 points, so please explain your answer. Number 2, can protein and starch go through cell membranes? This is also 2 points, so please explain your answer. Number 3, if you accidentally add a drop of ink into water, what will happen? This is worth 3 points, so please explain with a detailed explanation. These are some example answers. Your answers do not have to be exactly this. Diffusion does not require energy. That is 1 point because it is a passive process. That is 1 point. So if you wrote both of those things, that's 2 points. But if you only wrote one of them, that's 1 point. Proteins and starch cannot go through a cell membrane. That is worth 1 point because they are too big to fit through the tiny holes in the cell membrane. That is 1 point. Again, if you only said one of the two, then it is only worth 1 point. But if you said both, that is 2 points. Number 3. The ink will diffuse through the water. That is worth 1 point because the ink will move from an area with a high concentration to an area with a low concentration. That is also worth 1 point. Next, we'll move on to osmosis. Osmosis is literally just diffusion, but with water specifically. Osmosis is the net movement of water molecules across a partially permeable membrane from an area with a high concentration to a region with low concentration. Just like diffusion, the water goes both ways because liquids like water move randomly. I'll give you a few questions on osmosis to test how well you understood. Number 1, what is the exact definition of osmosis? This question is worth 2 points, so please explain carefully. Number 2, which of the following scenarios is osmosis? A, water moving from the mouth into the stomach. B, sugar is being taken into the blood from the gut. C, a plant absorbing water from the soil. D, oxygen entering the blood from the lungs. This question is worth 1 point. The answers are, for number 1, it is the net movement of water molecules across a partially permeable membrane. This is worth 1 point. From an area of higher water concentration to a region of lower concentration. That is also worth 1 point. If you said both of these things, then that is worth 2 points. But if you only said one, then that is 1. Number 2, this is C. This is only worth 1 point. And that is it for today's video. Please like and subscribe if you learned something new. 3, 2, 1.